Hello, it's the Cognitive Gamer, and I'm playing Heroes of the Storm, which is Blizzard's new MOBA, which is Massive Online Battle Arena? I think that's MOBA. And Blizzard just rolled out actually a brand new patch, which had a lot of new features, some of which have been getting a lot of flack. And some of the flack has been around, buying artifacts, which I have yet. I just began playing. So artifacts are essentially these things that let you improve your character, and they cost money. They're kind of like runes in League of Legends. But it's a completely different subject. What I'm going to be talking about today is talent gating. Talent gating is when you play as a character that some of the talents will be unlocked, will be locked before you can even, play as them. So, say I want to play as ETC. I go to the hero info. Here's their abilities. I will have these ones right off the bat. Heroic abilities. These are kind of like your ults, essentially. And as you can see, some of the talents are actually blocked until you actually level up, which means you have to play as this one character for several matches before unlocking these abilities. So yeah, that's pretty much all it is, and it's getting tons of flack because people are very ticked off. If somebody has something and then you take it away, people usually are pretty ticked off about that. But people are ticked off because if they want to play as a new character in the free hero rotation, if I want to play as Tyrell this week, I won't be able to use Purge Evil or Protection of Death or Retribution or Even in Death or Sanctification unless I play a couple matches with her until I level up. It takes probably about 5 games in total to probably unlock the first one, depending if you win or lose in your stats. And then, probably around 10 to unlock all of the abilities. And honestly, I'm probably highballing it. It doesn't even take that much. And each match is about 15 minutes. So in Heroes of the Storm, you actually are presented, instead of buying items as in League of Legends to kind of like make your character unique or have a unique play style, what they actually do is have a talent tree. And a talent tree, which you choose something and then so on and so forth until you just keep going down the line, making a very unique character. Now, I'm going to go through what I believe talent gating actually is good for. So when I first began playing last week, I started off as Vala. And when I was Vala, I had none of these. In fact, I was brand new to Heroes of the Storm. And I played a lot of League of Legends, but this is a completely different beast. In fact, it's a completely different game, but a subject for another time. I had no idea what I was doing. I know how to play a MOBA, but I didn't know what abilities were good. So the first things that I had were Hungering Arrow, returns damage as health, reduces cost of Hungering Arrow. Never played with her. I have no idea what this is. So it's a nice introduction of what my Q ability, or my Q talent, actually is. You have to crawl before you can run. Most players who come into this will not know how these champions or these heroes will operate. In League of Legends, when you play as a new champion, you're completely lost for the first entire game. You have no idea how to build them as far as items go. Yes, there's a recommended, but that's kind of what this boils down to. It's almost like a recommended that they could use, and maybe that's a solution for it, is that they just make, instead of talent gating, they just have recommended paths. But again, that's kind of like talent gating again, and how do you move somebody away from that? This, I believe, helps new players of Heroes of the Storm and their character learn that character. If you find somebody that you kind of find interesting, you can play as them, and you don't have to. It kind of gives you a recommended build. Here's what people suggest. This is good for beginners, and it's perfect if you've never played as this character before. Say, for instance, I played as Tyranade. I played as her for the first time in the game earlier. Sure, she has these, but it would almost be daunting, and I would have no idea what I'm doing in a game that's very fast-paced to actually choose these talents. Most people aren't going to research it beforehand. So just diving right in there, and then being presented right off the bat with 4 things I would have to read through and actually try to logically think through that is very daunting, intimidating, and overall kind of a bad thing, and that's something that I hate about League of Legends. I actually find this is an improvement because I can pick a new character, I get the recommended build, I do great, and then I can start experimenting. I can start experimenting later when I actually know the character, instead of being automatically turned off from a champion or character forever. So that's my first point in what it does. It helps new players of Heroes of the Storm actually get used to a character. The next thing, it actually helps you relate to the character. Like when I said I chose Vala, I really, really liked her. So much so that, well, I have kind of a connection with her. I leveled her up, so I can see that my level for Vala is 5. I know that I've played enough with her to level her up, and you actually get rewards the more you play as a character. So the first rewards, of course, are going to be the talents, but after that you can start earning gold and so on and so forth. But I actually have this connection to this character because I leveled them up. And I'd probably be more likely to go back into them and play as them instead of choosing a new character and starting all over. Which brings me to my third point of this is why Blizzard wants this. It's because you're going to spend money on it. If you've not wasted, but if you've played all that time unlocking all these new abilities, unlocking all these new talents, getting this character exactly how you want, of course you're going to buy her. What's stopping you from hitting that little button that says 2,000 gold and buying that character? This is a brilliant move by Blizzard by giving you kind of that sunk cost feeling. That means I spent all this time with this character. I don't want to lose my progress with the character instead of starting over new. I'm going to just pay for it right now. It's brilliant. So not only is it great for beginning players of Heroes of the Storm, but beginning players of that hero that's probably free in the rotation, which there's a lot of characters to choose from. I mean, the roster only has 28 characters, and they give you 6. That's a pretty large chunk of free characters that they give you out of the selection, and they change it every single week. So that's a lot of things, and I bet people right now in the alpha are just playing the free characters and not really buying the new ones, instead spending their gold on something else, kind of like artifacts. So that's been my defense of talent gating. I'm going to recap again. It allows new players of Heroes of the Storm and new players of this character to actually be accustomed to them and create a connection with them. It also allows them to kind of warm up and learn what they're possibly capable of. It gives you that sense of progression. It's kind of like that one carrot more. It reminds me a lot of Call of Duty, where you kind of have to like hit a certain level before you unlock all your abilities, and I love that feeling. I love having an accomplishment and working towards something. Also, it makes Blizzard tons of money because, yes, you spent all... I mean, they give you these free people that most people are probably going to use. But once they strip that away from you, you're going to probably want to play as them again. And you're probably going to just hit that little button that says 7,000 gold and buy them if you have it. Though, I can understand the claims against it, as in, if I'm going to buy a character and then I have to play as them to unlock everything, why can't I just unlock everything when I first pick them? But if you buy a new character and you have no idea what you're doing, what's the point? If you're going to buy a character, it's probably because you've actually tried them out and you know what you're doing a little bit. Talent gating, if you don't like it, I think it's a small hiccup that you're going to have to deal with and play just for a very limited amount of games. But overall, it's going to help a majority of new players, especially people who are more casual than the people who, surf the internet for tutorials or, strategy guides. And overall, it really builds that connection. Also makes Blizzard money. I don't know how many times I can say that. So now, I'm going to play a game, just because I want to. As a character I've never played before, and see how well I do.